This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
This new year, it's time to do wellness on your terms. That's where Ollie comes in. Thanks to their delightful gummies, you can actually get a good night's sleep. And you might finally stand a chance of staying focused. Because this is the year of you. Discover Ollie vitamins and supplements. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And as usual, I love scouring, looking for guests that are doing things on the cutting edge, very interesting things. And today I have Ingo. And what's interesting is he's got a unique background, but has this idea of the small reset, which is basically release, rediscover, rise, and he's providing transformational life and beyond career coaching. What's interesting thing is he's now living in Mexico, and we're going to talk all about that. And I love having guests that can inspire, motivate, and make a difference for the audience. So Ingo, welcome.
Thank you for having me here, Christopher.
Yeah, I love having guests that are doing things 10, 20 years before the mainstream. You're doing that. Tell people about your journey, your spiritual awakening, and how you're helping others.
Yeah, so my journey started actually also quite normal, right? I went to university, I'm an engineer, and I started working. And for more than 15 years, I was working in the semiconductor industry, and I had what most people would consider like a successful life, right? I get my promotions, and we built a house, and we had a car, and we had built a family, and we were kind of successful. But it didn't really fulfill me. And so 2 years ago, me and my family decided that it's not everything. And then also when the pandemic came up, right, the situation changed again. I mean, before I was traveling, also I had customers in Asia and in the United States mainly. But then during the pandemic, we were just sitting at home, and I had these Zoom meetings all day, and the kids didn't really go to school anymore. And then me and my wife were sitting there, and we said, okay, let's go for an adventure. Let's go to Mexico and travel and see if we find something better. And if you're anyway sitting on the computer, you can do that from anywhere, right? And that's how it started, right? And we sold everything, basically all our belongings, a few bags and our kids and 2 dogs, and we went to Mexico. And that's where we're now. And it's actually interesting how I came to this decision, because I also worked, that's maybe interesting to your listeners, because like in a corporate, right, monthly paycheck, I cannot stop working, right? I need the money coming in every month. And, and you have this limiting beliefs that tell you that you cannot do something different. And yeah, we did it. What we said to ourselves, we basically just said, what is the worst case that can happen? And we thought, okay, the worst thing that can happen is after 1 year, we just go back and we look for new jobs. So, and that made it easier for us, right?
It's very interesting and very inspiring, because there's a lot to unpack there, because we're so socially conditioned to, because you have everything. You have a stable job, high paying job, semiconductor, you have a beautiful house, wife, kids, and to just let all of that go. For a lot of people, it's just too much emotional energy. They can't do it. It's just too much inertia. So one thing you pointed out was you were not fulfilled. What was it that was not fulfilling? Was it, you had everything, right? So then same thing with me. Like, people ask me, you had everything. Why did you let it all go? What were you searching? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, I think that happens to many people. I was like that, I'm talking for myself, right? But through my discussions and also through my coaching, I figured out it applies also to many other people. So when you're a student and when you start your career, you're kind of driven, and you want to have your goals, and you want to reach certain things, right? And you're driven. And everything seems fine. But then when you become a little bit older.
Yeah, so you had everything, a big house, a nice job, wife and kids, and for a lot, that's everything. And what prompted you? You said you weren't fulfilled, so what made you want to change? It was like most people would call this midlife crisis, but I think there's more to it. So elaborate.
Yes, and I think it's also, yeah, midlife crisis may be a term, but I think it comes even older. I think for many people it comes. I mean, I'm talking here for myself, right? But through my discussions and my coachings, I understand that it's happened to a lot of other people. I think when we start our careers, right, we come from university or from college, and we start working, and we have all these goals, and we're driven, and we want to reach certain things, and we think these things will make us happy, but when we have them, and for me, it was right now after starting with 35 or something like that, when the kids grow older and you're getting promoted, but you're not getting the same fulfillment from that anymore. And also money is not so important anymore. I mean, for me, it was like the realization that something is missing and that I need, let's say, more balance or more holistic, or let's say a balance between the different areas of life, right? And that's what I was missing. So there was also like more, let's say, call it a spiritual element that I was missing, or let's call it more purpose, right? That you just want to make some more contribution that's more important for you than just like going after the business or doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because graduating, medical school, and then they like your first paycheck, your first couple paychecks is like really nice. It's like, oh, it can, but then after
Right.
after a while it just wears off. It's just basically a number in your account, and you're like,
Exactly.
yeah. So, and then kind of the next question I have is, so one thing that I did an experiment on myself was this process of letting go, because you let go in a big way. So what is your advice to challenge people to let go? Because it's like people are like holding on to these things and it's keeping them back, but if they would just let go, they could make space for the things that are supposed to come, but it's just so hard to let go. So how do you let go? You did your house, your career, everything. So
Yeah, I think that was kind of radical because it was everything. It's also not, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that to everybody, right? I mean, everyone needs to find its own way, its own solution. It's not for everybody the right thing to move to the other end of the world and start a new life. But I think letting go is something very releasing. I mean, for me, I also said, oh my God, I'm selling my house. I'm selling everything. I collected all this stuff all over these years. And I mean, most of them you don't even need, right? You have them at home, but you don't really need them. And actually, it was really a release for me. I mean, I didn't expect it. I also never did it before in such a big way, right? To release of everything. We really didn't have anything anymore, just the suitcases and okay, some dollars on the bank account, but these material things, they're not really important. And even then it was it's an interesting story. We came to Mexico and we bought a car here in Mexico City, and we started to ride, and we had still like quite all the baggage full of suitcases and bags, and on the roof like suitcases. And then it was actually the first stop we made a little outside of Mexico City in a small town, and then we left a few suitcases in the car, and they broke it, and they stole 3 suitcases. And we didn't really care because it was still too much somehow, right? It was not our passports or something important, right? It was just some other things, that some clothes or winter clothes or nothing really important. That's why we left it in the car. So, but when we left, we still thought it's somehow important. But when they stole it, we said, okay, then so
yeah.
whatever.
When you release everything, when you sell everything except like a suitcase and your bag of clothes or whatever, what does that feel like? Do you feel like lighter? Do you feel like I'm just curious what that feels like.
I think yes, it gives you freedom. It feels very good. It releases you. Because
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main problem because that most of us have, right? We want to be rich and be successful and everything. And we think if we have more money or more things, we have less problems. But it's not correct, right? Because if we have more money, we also have more problems because we worry more about losing all the money. And so if you have less, you also worry less. So it was really a release.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I love what you say because Yeah, you're right. People think, oh, like winning the lotto is gonna solve your problems, but then it actually invites more problems, and it's like be careful of what you wish for because having all of that brings much more problems. Like people trying to sue you, people trying to steal from you,
Yes.
or like kidnapping, all these really random things. And next question is, so now you went from total semiconductor tech into transformational growth coach, and what made you decide to go into transformational growth coach as to opposed to be a tech entrepreneur from anywhere?
Mm.
What made you want to help others?
Because I think that's what giving me purpose, right? That's what I mean. I really want to help others, and I think basically people like I am, like professionals or people in the industry or in medical jobs or in or physicians or whatever. They're all successful, but they also have, or some of them have this element that is missing, and I want to show them away from just focusing on your business goals to become, I call it holistically successful, right? Which doesn't mean only the money or whatever, but it's more like a broader sense. And I
Yeah.
think that's what many people find out, as I said, when they become a little older, that this element in life is missing, and they want to get there, but they don't know because they're so trapped in their beliefs and what the society and social media tells them what is success, that they don't dare to go out and just look for it
Yeah.
and find their own way.
I love that. And because you did it, like I said, you did it in a very big way. And plus, I've known a lot of colleagues, they did it on a smaller scale. They weren't married, they didn't have kids, they did it very early when they were young. But I mean, you had a lot on the lines, and then, this question was, with that, how did that, when you help others, talk about this idea of just many people struggle with making lasting changes in their lives and fall back into old patterns. And, what are the most common obstacles your clients face on their path to transformation, and how do you help them navigate it?
I think the main part is having this limiting beliefs. And I mean, many people are afraid to think big,
Yeah.
so that they think everything has to be like it is. It's also related to a certain need for security, or not taking any risk, or at least taking very little risk, which I think is also an illusion. Because I mean, even if you're in a job, right, it's not a risk-free life. Everything can happen tomorrow, right? Also with us, right? I mean, there can be health issues, or there can be financial issues, or as you mentioned, somebody can steal your money, or your house can burn down. So there's not really security. So I think that's one false belief we have.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all the things we have from society and from the social media, where the people telling us how a good or a nice life should look like, right?
Yeah.
Which doesn't really align with our internal values. So I think the good thing is that everybody has this solution inside themselves, right? I cannot tell you your solution because it's your solution, but I can ask questions, and by asking the right questions, I can help you finding your solution. And that's what I'm doing. And I really love it, because that's always a great moment if you see people having such a realization, so such a breakthrough. That gives me really a lot of pleasure and satisfaction if I see that happen also to other people.
Another thing that I observe in this personal journey path of personal development in a lot of people is sometimes you are very intentional, like you're very specific, I'm going to do this for the better. But some people, they get stuck and they can't face their fears, and then so it takes something like, it could be a health scare, could be a divorce, could be a pandemic, could be the job loss, to basically wake them up and shake them out of their old patterns. Which one do you recommend? I mean, obviously, doing what you do, very few people can do that, but what sort of things can help people navigate these, big challenges and transitions?
I think that what helps me the most, or what I think is an important point, is, I mean, I'm a big fan of setting goals, right? I think goals, if you set them correctly, it's a huge asset, and it helps you to grow. And I'm a big believer and an advocate of a growth mindset. On the other hand, you should not identify yourself by the goals, right? The goals are good to achieve them, or even if you fail them, it's a good process, I think, but they won't make you happy, right? So you have to look for your success and your happiness. You have to look for it in the present and not in the future, because that doesn't work. Because if you reach this point, you will have a new goal and you will again delay your luck into the future. So I think it's very important to become present and to become aware of yourself. And I think most people today, they're even scared of boredom, right? They cannot put their phone away for 5 seconds because they don't like this silence or this, because it's really awkward, right? Because we're so used to this constant distraction that we don't listen to our bodies anymore. We don't listen to our mind talk anymore. It's just, we're constantly distracted. And I think the first step is just to go back, become a little bit more connected, becoming more centered. Listen to yourself, connect with the nature, become aware of things. I think that's the most important part to start with.
I love how you described nature, sound baths, meditation, like cold freezes, like cold plunges, just things that just shake your body, just make you focus on the immediate present. I really love what you're talking about. And so kind of looking ahead, how do you see landscape of personal development and transformational coaching evolving? And what I'm always interested is any emerging trends or methodologies that you're excited about incorporating into your practice helping clients.
Yeah, I think there's a trend of people to what I described right now. They want to become more aware. They want to have this more spiritual element. I think the main trend right now, especially with social media, right, it's still to this whatever, get rich quickly or lose 10 pounds in 4 weeks methods of coaching. So I'm not a fan from it. I think they work, but they're purely based on motivation. So of course I can motivate myself to go now to the gym for 2 months, but it won't change my mindset, right? So I believe more in transformational changes, which requires that you look inside yourself and dig deep and dig out all your traumas and all your limiters and all your beliefs, which is not always pleasant, but it's once you have the breakthrough and once you get over it, it's much better.
On social media, connect with you, check out your work, reach out to you and work with you.
Yeah, so you mentioned already my website. My brand is The Small Reset, and my coaching style, I call it Release, Rediscover, Rise, which basically is release means you first need to get rid of all your limiting beliefs. And then you can rediscover what you really want, what's really your passion, what your purpose. And from there, you can rise then to new heights. So that's more or less the framework I'm working with. And the website is thesmallreset.org. There they can find everything. I also have a YouTube channel with the same name. And I also do a podcast. It's also on YouTube and all the major podcast platforms. And I'm happy to connect. Happy to hear your feedback and learn more.
Yeah. And I love Ingo's energy and his enthusiasm, his passion for life. You can just feel it. And I love this discussion, especially the release part. And because a lot of the audience is really, they type A and they want to control everything. So be sure to follow and like Ingo on social media. Check out his website, his works, and work with him. And with that, thanks so much for an inspiring discussion.
Thank you, Christopher. It was a pleasure.